Good evening, everybody. It's a little early this morning. I am going to try my hand out with this brisket. Now, this brisket here, I purchased myself here. It is 13.27 pounds. I went ahead and, since this is my very first one, I talked to a butcher and asked for some assistance. So we're going to trim this section out here, just right here, because this right here we can't even feel the meat. It's going to be too thick is what I was told. Just kind of trim it up here. Just going to kind of plane this off here, and I think we will be good to go there. He said just kind of feel around. It's kind of hard right in there. I may just have to slice into it and just see how it goes. So I have a, which is everything that I'm doing is all on my own, all of my free will. No one's paying me to do any of this. But what has been a good starter set for my barbecue journey, which I got to graduate to a different slicer. We won't probably be using this beauty just yet. We might use this when it comes off the grill on this Titan slicer. But the two that I will probably be using to prep this one with, now it comes in a kit. We have the 12-inch Pit Boss. These are very extremely sharp out of the package. I'm pretty sure they're just a piece of steel construction that's been ground down to a nice blade point. Now it's beveled on each side. It's not a single like our Titan slicer is. Okay, so there's that. So I'm going to set this one to the side. Now this one here has been my go-to for a lot of prep before I got my other knives. Now a set, usually you can maybe catch them on sale around this holiday, but for me, I think I paid around, I want to say, sorry, I'm getting some light on everything for everybody. 1, 2, and 3. There we are. There we go. Got a little more light on it. So with this, I think the cost was, I got mine on sale for I think about $40 or so. One holiday came with this, some meat claws, a thermostat, and a spray bottle. Now, on this one, I do like this one. This one just matched my grill. It has your taste. It has a laser on it, and it has this here, and then you can turn it on and off. And it has an auto sleep function, just so in case you forget to turn it off. And that's some of the tools that I will be using this go round, as well as so this is that parchment paper or peach paper that I am also going to use. At some point I will have to, I'm going to let this set overnight. So what we're going to dig into tonight is kind of how to prep. It's going to take 30-minute wait time and so on there. So what I have here is I may have to actually trim this off a little bit to make sure it fits into my pan. We're going to put a little bit of water in here, and then we will take some of our seasoning of choice and we're going to put it down in here. Now, the instructions that I got were to put the fat side up first, so then all of your meat can absorb the seasoning and the food in that meat and everything there. And then once it's kind of soaked it up, then we're going to flip it over and repeat the same thing to the backside. Now while the backside is up, we're going to sprinkle a little seasoning on top of that. And then when it's turned to flip over after 30 minutes, then we're going to let it set on the fat side down. Now don't want to cut all of this off because that's where a lot of your juice and the moisture for this brisket, is what I've read, is going to come from your fat. Now, one thing that I will be doing is a beef soup. It's just a condensed soup that I'm using. Now, you can pick your own. No relation to this either. This is just something that I'm going by, that I found a recipe for. I did look at several different ones. If you have a good brisket recipe, let me know. I may not go so large next time. It was just a great price per pound. So, without further ado, let's take our knife out and let's see how we want to do this. Just start down here. And I know when I say like these are very sharp for the cost, they didn't cost very much to get so much out of this. Oh man, that looks good. Just want to kind of pull this plastic back just a little bit because I want to try and keep all that meat juice in here so I don't get it all over my counter. Like I said, it is late tonight. So right here, let me check camera. So right here on the X, and I think a little bit right here. Yeah, I can see that. Going to just kind of trim off this corner a little bit. Stick our knife in here. There we are. Now I've used this knife quite a bit. Okay, so X marks the spot. So going right through here, it's going to be this spot here, which looks like, it looks like it was already kind of trimmed off there to begin with. Now I'm not going to waste anything. I'm just going to go ahead and put that on in my pan. I'll probably throw it on the grill at some point. We're still going to take this here and level that out just a little bit. Now I'm just going to put the fat in my pan so when I go to cook, I can retain maybe some of that flavor in my meat. Okay. Just kind of want to feel for your meat if it's too tough or too hard. It's always hard to kind of tell what you have going on when you get started. Probably leave that. Man, that's a big chunk of meat there. Now, when looking at this, the reason why, if I can get it to pull up here, and kind of see, you can see it is probably 2 to 3 inch deep until you actually hit meat down here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do, because that is quite a large chunk here, I think I'm going to plane some of this off here. Always be careful of what direction you're cutting, because some knives will go right through these pieces of fat like butter, and you don't want to stick yourself with it. I've had it in the fridge, so it's still pretty cold. Just slice it up that way, a little bit this way. There we are. Set that in the bottom of the pan as well. Because my instincts just tell me I want to cut this thing in half and figure out what to do with this half later, because this side over here is nice and kind of even across. Let's go ahead. We'll set our knife right here. I'm going to go ahead and set my ring off here, because this is going to turn into a greasy mess, I'm pretty sure. Just checking my mic, because these mics do have to be charged. I mean, but look at that meat. That meat looks nice and ready for the grill. I'm not gonna lie. I am excited about this brisket. So I do see and feel some bone right here. We're gonna want to probably cut that out as well. All right, let's see here. Just gonna flip this over. Let's see. Now I don't want to cut and waste a bunch of meat. Let's see how close we can stay to this bone, because I know myself and I do not want to forget and chomp into that later. Here we are. So good news is it wasn't a huge piece, so I didn't lose much. I'll set this over here and may let my dog have it later. Okay. So this is really hard here as well. We're going to want to take this down quite a bit, because it is nice and thick. Just going to set that in the tray, because as you can see, as I push on it, it's super hard. It's not really letting my finger reach the meat. Just want to take a little layer off at a time. Check where you're going is a little bit of what I read today, because once you cut it, you can't put it back on there. So this is a little bit of a Christmas gift, a little bit of a get-together food, and kind of a sense of accomplishment for myself if all goes well. If it doesn't, I'm not going to give up on it. I may approach it differently next time. We just want to kind of, we're starting to get a little closer to that meat. So I'm probably just going to slice this off here. And boy, does that meat look good. And looks fairly good and marbled. I'm really feeling a lot out of this up here. Let's see. This is where that bone was. Let's take some of this. Yeah, that's a pretty thick piece there. Okay, setting all that to the side. Still fairly, let's just take a little stab at it here and see how thick that is. If we need to go down any further. So that's pretty thick. I think what I'm going to do, guys, is get I'm going to actually go ahead and kind of cut this piece off because this is really, it's beautiful meat. I'm not going to waste it, but I'm going to cut this off because I think this is a little too thick here, thicker than what me and the butcher anticipated. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to my long blade and just want to make sure I don't get too much because you can see where everything's falling apart here. I want to say I want to be about here. I'm just going to score it there. Let's take a look at our other side real quick as we're doing this, because remember we had all of this flapping out here saying hello to us. I think, yeah, we're just going to clean this up. I'm probably going to just go ahead and slice it down a little bit. This will probably cook faster, so what we will do with it is probably soak it. I have an extra pan that looks pretty juicy there. Now our fat and everything's still on top. Just want to try and get this as flat as possible, but I don't want to take too much off. I'm just trying to think back to what the butcher was telling me about just making sure that it sits flat on there. Alright, so that looks pretty flat to me now. Not so much folded over on this side. Just gonna kind of bring it back over here, and this is all kind of messy. I'm just gonna, since I have a small smoker, I think I'm gonna start here and put this in my other pan. So let's take this. We're gonna kind of take a look at how thick and meaty and fatty this is. So I think I see why the price per pound was $4. Is there's a lot of fat, but I will say, with as much fat as it is, it's going to be a juicy piece of meat. Camera tried to take off on me. All right. Now we clean this up. I think this looks a lot better. I think it's going to look nice and presentable. So when you go to serve that on the table and start slicing it out, it's going to be nice and pretty. Oh yeah, look at that. Already kind of flattened and everything there. Now, let me rinse my hands off real quick. I need that other tray. So I'm going to put a little water in this tray and just gonna prep that other one. All right. So I'm just using a aluminum tray. We gotta get all the sticky things out of here. All right, so everything is good to go in here. Just going to kind of slosh some water around, dump it off into the sink. Just going to fill the base of this just to cover the bottom. We're just going to kind of try and transfer everything. All right, I'm going to set this right here next to the other tray. Let's see here. Trying to make it as least. Oh, hang on, guys. Don't take off on me. All right. So now we're going to take our seasoning, put it down here in our water. And that's all right. I just put a little bit to get us started on setting this down in there. Remember, we're going to keep the meat side up first, then we're going to set this off for 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do, since I don't really have the ability to start, stop, and cut and paste, we're going to set this here. I'm going to gather this up here, take this to the trash. All right. Just going to kind of wipe our board off just right here, just so we don't get it all over the pan. All right, so we now have our meat that's going to set up for about 30 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and generously put on the season of choice. And we're going to let it set up here for 30 minutes, kind of rub it in just a little bit here and there. Make sure we get it in the cracks of everything. Oh boy, this looks beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and coat that there. All right, so we're going to let this set for about 30 minutes or so. I'm going to let y'all watch this for just a minute. I'm going to rinse my hands off one more time. Okay. Now I'm going to set my tools off to the side right there. And so now this is going to be my ugly bucket, if you will. Now I'm still going to soak this. I'm still going to give it all a little bit of love here and not let it go to waste. because like the fat and everything else, I can probably take and make some noodles, get some egg noodles, and with those egg noodles, you can put your fat into the pot with the noodles. Now with that, you're going to want a beef stock or broth to boil your noodles in, or if you have bouillon cubes are a great source to make that beef uh, kind of, you want a nice flavor. You don't want it to be too beefy or too light. Now, of course, everyone is each their own. I usually like mine to be somewhere in the medium zone there on flavor when you're tasting that stock for the soup. Now, some of this meat and stuff can go in with the noodles. If you had too much, like we did, ours, we cut it off at the right length without even measuring, which is a blessing there. I'm going to let this set over here. Let me turn this side over. And I'm going to hit our other side here as well with seasoning in our ugly pan. Okay. And then we will get started on this tomorrow. So I appreciate everyone coming in and checking out the prep and everything for this one. So what we're going to review is you're going to want to have some kind of beef soup. This one here is a concentrate. It said 1 can. You're going to want to have a syringe. I actually have to pick up one tomorrow anyway. And you want to make sure you have the necessary tools, whether it's a chef's knife or a fillet knife or a carving knife of sorts, whichever tool you prefer. If you have a favorite tool, drop that in the comments for me and see if I can add it to my collection. Uh, let's see here. Make sure you kind of plane off the meat. If you're pushing too hard on that fat, it is going to be really tough for that smoke and for it to cook properly in that mid range. Now, when we go to put it on the grill for that like first 4 hours or so, we're gonna let it cook, and then we will, if I can find mine, we will insert some probes. If not, I will be checking it with my um, thermometer here, my meat meter, if you will, and see about what the temperature is internally. Now, I don't know, these were a gift to me. I'm going to show you a couple of things here. Now, these are just recommendations. These are not anything, and you may have seen these out there. They're magnets. I don't know the brand or anything, but um, they were something that was bought for me to put on my fridge. So the first one here just shows you temperatures, times per pound, and so on there. This one here uh, shows the the fish, the temperature for the variations of meat here. Like if you want it rare, all the way down to well done. It gives you kind of the internal temperature on where you want to be, and kind of gives you a little idea of what cuts and things there and what it should look like. What I like about this one gives you the wood recommendations here on the side, what pairs well. So like a hickory, mesquite, oak, or pecan what I'm going to be doing is I'm using pellets. So for my pellets, I will be using like a competition blend, if you will. This gives a nice charcoal but smoky flavor. I may mix in a dash of some hickory pellets that I picked up today. All right, guys, I think we've just kind of did a quick review and how awesome. Now, I don't know if anyone will know this gentleman, but the gentleman that the butcher I got to deal with was Matt. I want to say thank you, Matt, for your help. You were a big inspiration at the store on helping me select this cut of meat. Now, when it's packaged, it's always hard to tell what you're getting, but I think it's going to turn out beautifully. We're going to let this soak, and I will be back tomorrow to fill you in on what we're going to do next. Thanks again, and have a good night, everyone.